welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. I have with me, as always, the wonderful, the talented, the amazing Matt, the Pickled Dragon, and I am Drunk Dracoya.
Drunk Dracoya. Um,
I made eggnog, so it's Thanksgiving week, and every year I'm always like, oh man, I want eggnog, but every year I'm on a diet. But this year I was like, screw it. I'm making eggnog, and it's pretty much 80% rum and 20% eggnog. So, what are you drinking, Matt?
Glenmorangie.
It sounds lovely.
It's my favorite.
I
My
know. It's
favorite.
good.
Yeah.
So we have an amazing video for you guys today. Today, we want to talk to you about the conspiracy that is Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it is a massive conspiracy to convert everybody to right-wing radicalization and other buzzwords that I can't think of off the top of my
It
head.
is a conspiracy, and apparently being part of Lord of the Rings, and if you read 1984, you are a threat. A threat. Matt, you take it over. Show them
Here.
screenshots.
Oh yeah, we got stuff.
We got stuff. We always got stuff.
Um, so this particular doodad.
Doodad.
Yeah, this doodad.
Reading Lord of the Rings and 1984 could lead to right-wing extremism, government report warns. So, of
Yes.
course, Matt being Matt was like, ooh, government report warns this, huh? Well, let's go find the government report.
Yeah, so this apparently is something out of the UK. Um, and anytime I see a headline like this, I'm like, what is going on here? So I started hunting. And this came up recently. Um, and it's related to some statistics that came out where um there were like something like 400 people in Russia who were arrested for things that they wrote on social media. And then people are like, well, wait a minute, that's crazy. And so, but they did a search and they found that in the UK, where this government report was published, there were 3,300 people arrested for things they wrote on social media.
3,300 in the UK
Yeah,
versus
and if you
400
consider,
in Russia.
yes, and if you consider that Russia has 8 times the population of the UK, like per capita, that is crazy talk.
Okay.
So after those reports came out, this article was actually from last year, was drug out, and they're like, this is the kind of craziness, crazy opinions that to uh, lead to 3,000 people in the UK getting arrested for social media posts.
Sure, sure.
And and you know, I love free speech. I think that people should be able to say basically whatever they want as long as it's not calling for someone to get hurt, killed, or anything.
Hmm.
But um the the you know the logic that they jump through, the logical hoops that they jump through to place Lord of the Rings and 1984 into this right wing, and again, right wing
Let's
extremism.
show them the logic, Matt. Let's show them the
So I mean,
logic.
it's like one of those things like there's clearly forces in the UK that are interested in squashing free speech. So it makes sense that they would put 1984 on the list. But Lord of the Rings, like how do they get there? So it
So let's
actually
show them how they
relates,
got there.
yeah, like it actually relates back, and I have to switch up my channel here. I'm going to switch up things a little bit. It actually relates back to a video we did on orcs and Lord of the Rings.
Viva las orcs!
Yes, yes. So this article was citing the report. Now, one of the things I think it's important to note is that there were a number of sources that came out and said that Tolkien and Orwell and C.S. Lewis, that their villainous writings would take people down this rabbit hole into radicalization. And so I went and hunted for these reports, and I found them. I
Of
found them,
course you
but
did.
yes, but it appears as though they've been edited. So at least
They've been edited?
yes, the versions I've seen were updated after all of these articles came out, and they don't mention Orwell or Tolkien or anything anymore. So these articles that came out in 2023 seem to have pushed the government to make some edits to their report, but the report came from the British Prevent program, which is,
Ooh,
as
ooh,
we
I got this. I
highlighted
got this.
there.
The Prevent program is focused on nonviolent extremism, defined as vocal or active opposition to fundamental British values, including democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, and mutual respect and tolerance of different faiths and beliefs. Hi, baby. I love you
Yeah.
too.
So I'm trying to think what in the world in Lord of the Rings is pro, you know, dictatorship, pro fascism, pro like that fly in the face of these British values. It's like and I couldn't think of anything myself.
Right. I
But
can't think of anything either. But don't worry, guys. They jumped to conclusions for us.
yeah,
Don't
well, and
strain
these
your
are
thoughts too hard.
right, and these are all very like, high level ideologies and the individual liberty, great thing, mutual respect, tolerance, that's cool.
We
You
all
know,
love these things. I love these things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, these rule of law, I love it.
Ah, it's
So
great. Just be nice to each other. Just be nice.
yeah, so I did a little bit more digging,
Fascists
and
have twisted Tolkien into Lord of the Right Wing.
Lord of the Right Wing. I think that's hilarious. So I, um, I love Tolkien, which is why we do so many videos where we talk about all of the crazy attacks on Tolkien.
Yeah, I think we
Um,
all love Tolkien.
and one of the things that seemed to really kick this off, this Lord of the Right Wing angle, was that the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, I think is how her name. Um,
Oh,
it turned out that in her youth she would attend hobbit camps with groups of people. And so since she is considered a bad person, well, that means everything that she touches should also be considered bad, right?
what was the
And
comparison you had earlier, Matt?
yeah, I mean it's like, you know who likes pizza? Tolkien. You know who else liked pizza? Hitler. So,
Therefore, Tolkien is like Hitler.
and I just don't get it.
Oh,
So
the
there was a
Lord of
few
the
highlighted.
Rings. The Lord of the Rings has been embraced by the Italian far right, and this year, Prevent, the UK counter-terrorism program, added the books to a list of key texts for white supremacists.
Ooh, doggy.
Yeah, because that's who watches Lord of the Rings. Only that. Yeah. The far right tends to view the Lord of the Rings through the lens of race, in which elves, described in the books as tall and fair of skin, are pitted against the lesser people, like the orcs, who are portrayed as black-skinned with features including wide mouths and slant eyes. They identify with the heroism of a ragtag group of art outsiders, not unlike today's alt-right, standing up to a tyrannical power hell-bent on obliterating their traditional way of life. Okay. That is such a stretch, guys. That is such a stretch.
So yeah, I'm trying to like envision. So like what they're saying is that the men of the West, the free peoples of Middle Earth, should have just folded and let the orcs just rampage and slaughter across Middle Earth. And that would have been the right thing to do. That would have been the progressive thing to do.
Well, orcs are people too, Matt.
Yes, and we've talked about that in past videos. And it was like when I read this particular paragraph that I realized, my God, it's like people will say anything to try and further their agenda. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how illogical or absurd their statements are. But, when I saw this all come to the forefront again, and I started digging and I started seeing, using orcs and elves as a way of impugning Tolkien as some far right extremist or his works as as inspiration for these folks. It's like, my God, like, Hitler liked pizza too, like I don't get it. I know I obviously am surrounded because my circle of friends, we all like Lord of the Rings, we all like Dungeons and Dragons. So of course, does that mean I'm a far right extremist or Dracoya is a far right extremist or everybody, all my friends are far right because we all like Lord of the Rings? Like I used to read Lord of the Rings every year. I didn't read it for 5 years, but then I read it again this year. And in fact, I read Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and The Silmarillion back to back to back to back
Yeah, he
this
did.
year. And just I hadn't done it in 5 years, so I thought, it's time to do it again. And I don't feel like I came out the other end like
Do
all
you
itching
feel
for
like
some,
you're a little more supremacist, Matt?
yeah, maybe, I guess.
Well, I'm watching Lord of the Rings tomorrow for Thanksgiving. It's my personal tradition that every Thanksgiving I make myself a large vat of stuffing and pumpkin pie that I am not sharing, by the way. And I watch all the Lord of the Rings extended editions back to back. That is my Thanksgiving. So, talk to me in another 24 to 48 hours, and yeah, we'll see how supremacist I am after watching The Lord of the Rings again.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to tell you guys, this is the sort of thing. I mean, this is like we live in an age of kind of irrationality. Um, and I actually have seen a number of scholars, right, that we are currently in um, a dark age, an intellectual dark age.
I believe it.
And I didn't read all of their arguments, so I'm not going to say whether I agree or not, but I think it's interesting an interesting comment given some of the things that we see um pervade infecting our fandoms and our hobbies. I don't know, what do you guys think? This is crazy to me,
And you guys should definitely check out our other video if you haven't seen it, the one where we actually bring up Tolkien and we, break down his perception of orcs and what being orcs is in his world and what the idea of being orc-like is really defined as. And spoiler alert, it's not white supremacy. Ah!
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Well,
But anyways, you guys, as always, come back, comment, like, subscribe, have a safe holiday, and come back and have another round on us.